رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعليه الطاهرين ولعنة دائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. We have reached to the point that initially we discussed that Quran introduces Tawheed rather than talking about the Tawheed itself, rather than talking about the existence of God itself. Quran takes the existence of God as granted, but it kind of crystallizes or clarifies or redefines this existence of God with the methodology or with the understanding of Tawheed. So that's the beauty of the Quran, and that's why Tawheed has been considered as one of the most important reality through and through. You know, all the prophets and all that, they propagated Tawheed. So here we have an understanding of Tawheed being crystallized or being mentioned in the Quran. And the way, it's been kind of pointed out to in regards to Tawheed that we find is quite unique in the sense that, for example, you have أَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّ فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. Wherever you turn, there is a face of God. This cannot be seen in other scriptures. Or وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. Wherever you are, there is Allah with you. This is not explained, or the Surah Tawheed itself, if you like, to kind of investigate, you will see that somebody came to the Prophet and asked for Tawheed, and Prophet replied in regards to Tawheed, or the deeper explanation of Tawheed, after 3 days. So it took about 3 days for this message of this unique message of Tawheed to descend from God. So that's the understanding of this is very important for mankind, and that's why it was sent by the last prophet, by the prophet who had supporters of this, preachers of this, who came in the form of imams to explain this in different forms through du'as and through their actions. I mean, I once again remind us all of the event of Karbala, which is quite unique and which is quite special, to really see that how Imam Hussein manifested Tawheed to its maximum capacity. You know, Imam Hussein manifested Tawheed to the maximum capacity, reflected Tawheed to its maximum capacity. I'll just give you this one example, and then I will explain these 3 levels of Tawheed. For example, who is Imam Hussein? Imam Hussein is what? Imam Hussein is Shaheed. We call Imam Hussein as Shaheed. Okay. Who is Shaheed? As in reality, who is Shaheed? Shaheed is one of the names of God. God is known as Shaheed. You know, it's one of the names of God, and he is Shaheed. So here, Imam Hussein alayhi salam is Shaheed, meaning that he's manifesting Shaheed, which is God, to its maximum capacity. Why maximum capacity? Because no one have martyred the way Imam Hussein was martyred. No one is Shaheed the way Imam Hussein is Shaheed. That's why the Prophet said that you will achieve a maqam, O my grandson, O Hussein, that no one have ever achieved that maqam. So that maqam of shahadat, to the utmost capacity, Shaheed is manifesting there. Shaheed, which is the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is reflecting there in the plain of Karbala. So that is why La Yawmuka Yawmuka Abu Abdullah. So Tawheed is manifested, that is Shaheed is manifested, and at the same time you have the name of Rahman, which is Allah, manifested at the same time. See, when we are talking in regards to Tawheed-e-Zat, Tawheed-e-Asma, Tawheed-e-Af'al, which is the future discussion that we have. So all of these names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we say Allah is Shaheed, Allah is Rahman, Allah is Rahim, Allah is Qahar, Allah is Adil, all of them are nothing but one. He is Shaheed to the maximum capacity, and at the same time he is Rahman to the maximum capacity. He is Qahar to the maximum capacity, and he is Ghafoor to the maximum capacity. His Ghufraniyat is not extra to his Qahariyat or his Intiqam. He is Muntaqim to the maximum capacity, and at the same time he is Rahim to the maximum capacity. His Rahmaniyat is no different from his, being Muntaqim. It's all one. It's all one. So therefore, Hussein, on the day of Karbala, in the plain of Ashura, he was reflecting Shaheed to its maximum capacity, which is Allah. And he was reflecting Rahman to the maximum capacity, which is Allah, by saying to Shimr that, oh Shimr, spare my life. If you spare my life, I will give you paradise. I guarantee you Jannah. I guarantee you Shafaat of Rasulullah. So this is what? This is nothing but the Rahmaniyat of God being reflected through Hussein. So Hussein have become all of those Asma Ilahi in the plain of Karbala, where he was Mumit, taking life as the heads were flown out, tossed in the air, and how locusts kind of fly, right? So therefore Hussein was, that's the day of Tawheed, the day of plain of Ashura. Now, going back onto the discussion, as we talked about Tawheed, right? As we talked about Tawheed, the first discussion that the theologians does in terms of unity of God, in unity of God, is the discussion of Tawheed Zat, meaning that his Zat is one. His Zat is one. Just like how we talked about the example of the whiteness, the white car and whiteness. The white thing is in different sort of different forms that we find, this white, that white, but whiteness is something that is one. So that is where he has that unique oneness to really understand. And we gave the example of when in the battle of Siffin, Amirul Mu'minin was fighting Muawiyah. Somebody came and asked him about Tawheed, and the companion said that, is this the place to really ask this question? And Imam Ali alayhi salam said that this is what we are fighting for. So the battle of Amirul Mu'minin was for Tawheed, for the establishment of this immaculate understanding of Tawheed. The battle of Imam Hussein was for Tawheed, is to establish this unique and special understanding of Tawheed, the way God wants us to understand Tawheed as. Kuntu kanzan makhfiya, I was a hidden treasure and I wanted to be recognized. I wanted to be known. That's why I created the creation. Known in what sense? Known in the sense of that unique understanding of his oneness. Then you have that Zat, meaning that he is all one. So all of his asma, all of his names, all of his actions, they actually return back to his Zat. And his Zat is beyond comprehension of humanity, of mankind, because humans tend to understand, with qualities like, for example, knowledge, or for example, power. We know our comprehension is limited. And that is why we find Amirul Mu'mineen saying that the greatest of Tawheed is negation of all awsaf of God. So you negate all of the qualities and attributes of God, and then you will understand what true Tawheed is. That's why Allah is known as Hu. Then you have the Tawheed fi sifat, which means that all of his qualities, all of his attributes are identical with his essence. All of his names are similar and identical with his essence. They are not something that is extra or addition or additional to his essence, added to his essence. We do find some of the theologians, such as the Mu'tazilites, they have made an error by saying that 8 of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is extra to his Zat. They have fallen short in explaining what they really mean, but that is why you need teachers who could explain the Tawheed to that immaculate capacity, and that is Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, for example. Abu Hassan al-Basri, who is the father or the one who kind of founded the school of Mu'tazila. His student, actually, Abdullah ibn Atta, who was a student of Hassan al-Basri, who founded the Mu'tazili thought. They are of this thought that they are the asma, the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is izafe, is extra to his Zat, but they went the wrong route to really understand God. So these asma ilahi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all one. It's all one. And just like as we said earlier, we gave the example that a person who could be a teacher, who could be a
brother, who could be a father, who could be a husband. It's all one, but he has different sort of qualities or duties that he is responsible of. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have revealed to the capacity of human potential that he would be able to understand him. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he has said that God has not made human intellects aware of all details of his qualities, but at the same time, he has not deprived them of understanding what is necessary. He has made them, he had made sure that he sends the knowledge of his to its ultimate capacity, even if that be, Allama Tabatabai, I remember one of his students, was giving lesson in tafsir. One of the things that he mentions that if it be so that if all of this creation created from Adam to Khatam until the day of judgment, if it be so that there be only Chaharda Masumeen and only 14 were able to understand Tawheed to that ultimate capacity as an insan, as a human being, Allah have done his share. We have reached Kamal. As humanity have reached perfection and Kamal. So therefore, Allah have revealed that to human beings, the means and the ways to really achieve this understanding, right? We are trying to, read and theologically come to some sort of cognition of this understanding. But the point is to come to this cognition by our presence, by our huzur. That is true tawheed, that is true understanding, that a person achieves that ilm huzuri, just like al ilmu nurun fi qalbi man yasha. Knowledge is considered as that nur that is revealed into the heart of whosoever God desires, right? That is ilm huzuri, that ilm which comes directly from God. And the Ahl Bayt alayhi salam, anti alimatu bila muallima, you are an alima, or Aunt Zainab, without anybody being taught. And no one have taught you. You have directly revealed things to you, inspired. Allah inspired you. Hope. So the attributes of the divine attributes, there is oneness in it. All of his attributes really return back to that one God. And all of these names return back to that one God. Now, after this, you have the Tawheed fi fail. His actions also returns back to him, whether that be life or death, whether that be, risk giving and not giving, and all, restraining. They all really go back to that one fail. It's like if I have a key in my hand and I try to open the lock, one would say the key is opening the lock. Then one would say, no, it's actually the hand that is kind of like, making the, key move. One would say, no, it is me who's making that key move. But in reality, is that qudra or will that is making that key move. But as we go along, it's really Allah who is doing that. An yaqul lahu kun fayakun. Right? It is that fele khudas. This action is the action of God. So this understanding, and to come to terms with this understanding, by fulfilling all one's responsibility and taking that, it's very special. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. 7 times Imam Hussain mentioned while he was taking Ali Asghar. That is really that is Tawheed. That we are come from Allah and we return back to Allah. It took 7 kalimatul istirja for Hussein to really take the body of Ali Asghar alayhi salam. Now let's come back to the matter. Now the point is that human beings, they tend to understand this Tawheed according to their their limited intellectual capacity. It is like an elephant, as Maulana Rumi says, that it is like an elephant and everybody is blindfolded, and they were asked to define elephant. One of them catches the tail of the elephant, the other takes the trunk of the elephant, the other holds the teeth, and the other holds the feet of the elephant. And they say, how was elephant? They say elephant is like a big fat pillar. the one who was holding the feet, that's how he saw the elephant as. He was blindfolded, didn't see the whole picture of elephant. The other said, oh, it's swinging, it's like a tail which have some, that is the elephant. The other says very hard, very pointed like the teeth, and it has a curve, that is the elephant. So everybody defined according to their understanding what elephant is. One, they banned the eyes were, they opened the band from their eyes, they saw the elephant and said, oh my God, this is what, but we thought the elephant to be just the feet. We thought the elephant to be just the tail. So we are blinded from understanding the beauty of God, the reality of God, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. And not only that, we try to impose this understanding on others, but men have fought for this, have died for this. Hussein, Hussein, he says, what does he say? He puts the sword back into the teeth, the cover, right? Scabbard, or that he put his back, because he says it's enough. Tawheed have been reflected, Hussein. He says the time to return back now. Put the sword back. So therefore, even Imam, to his maximum capacity of understanding Tawheed, he is giving that free room to the enemies to really express, to really do whatever they want to do. He's surrendering to that Tawheed. That's a Shaheed is a true Muslim as well, from the side of the worldly blame. He is a Muslim. That's why Prophet is known as Awwalu Muslim in the Quran. He's known as Awwalu Muslim. Oh, right? Husseinu minni wa ana min Hussein, right? So here is Hussein, here is that sort of individual who is blindfolded, who doesn't have understanding of God, that precise understanding. He not only imposes on others, he said, this is it. But God is beautiful, and in different, colors, God manifests himself. And the Ahl Bayt alayhi salam have manifested and taught us that maximum understanding of God, who have taken different reflections, forms, and shape. He has allowed us to really investigate and go higher and higher and higher in terms of the understanding. Now, going back onto the matin of the book, as we will recite as we have reached to page number. Brother Salman, can you help me with the page where we have reached?
So we stopped at page 18, which is Tawheed al-Sifat.
Yeah, Tawheed al-Sifat. This means that God's attributes are identical with his essence. They are not accidental or additional to his essence. His knowledge is not something which has been added to his essence, and his power is not an external part of his essence. His knowledge is his power, which is his mercy, which is his will, which is his love, are all the same as his essence. He is one being from which different aspects can be understood. Yes, one might read this and say, oh yeah, it's quite interesting. But the point is to read and say that it's quite interesting on a Sunday rather than not. Alhamdulillah, we've been blessed, and we are reading it. We are talking about God. And my apologies for coming late, and thank you very much for being patient, right? So the more we read about Allah, even if that be simple, one might say that's a very primary text, what we have read, we have heard this over and over again. Yes, his power and his knowledge and his mercy and his will, they are all one, and his love. But it's that repetition, it is that impact that it gives to the soul, right? And we have to really, Marhum Sayyid Tabatabai, I just met one of his students in Kuwait when I was there. Very, amazing personality, Sayyid Dibachi, Sayyid Abul Qasim Dibachi. He was mentioning that Marhum Sayyidina al-Ustad, he said this, that would always say that if you learn something, make sure that you give away, you give right away to some others. So inshallah, we hope that we transfer this to our children, to our family members, to our communities, inshallah. Next paragraph. We always find ourselves in difficulty when wanting to refer to God or trying to understand God, because we, being used to referring to creatures and describing creation, find ourselves limited. Our language is geared towards limited things most of the time. For example, as soon as the word knowledge is mentioned, what comes to mind is the concept we hold of human knowledge. We may picture someone who learns, who tries to memorize, who may forget, whose knowledge may be mixed with illusion and errors, who has a mind and uses concepts and books. We need to refine the concept of knowledge and remove all the deficiencies and suppositions so we can get closer to God's supreme knowledge, right? When we talk about power, what comes to mind is normal power that we are familiar with, muscle power or animal power or machine power or power in engines or even willpower. However, to imagine God's absolute power, we need to remove all our preconceived notions of power and the means of generating power and just imagine the ability to do something regardless of the means. One is powerful when he can do what he wants. So when we talk about divine attributes, we must be very careful lest we suffer from anthropomorphism. This is very important that we don't really get into anthropomorphism. Pantheism, for example, in Irfan and mysticism, some people get into Shabe pantheism. This is to liken other things to human beings, in this case, God, and is very dangerous. See, that's why you have this, avatars in Hinduism, in other, gods, the god of light, the god of darkness, the god fighting with each other. When they used to see these northern lights, the Celtics would say these are the gods fighting with each, because they are trying to intellectualize God, deity, according to their preconceived ideas that they have in their mind. When a Christian is about
This is Nusairis also do the same, right?
Exactly. Nusairis do the same. There's a very nice statement of Ayatollah Jawadi Amali. He says that Nusairis are not making a mistake by saying Ali is God, but they have not understood God properly. You see, so it's because because insan kamil, that perfect human being, is a reflection, is a manifestation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As we were talking about Imam Hussein reflecting Shaheed, Imam Hussein reflecting Rahman, Imam Hussein reflecting Mumit. He was taking life to that sort of. So yes, Nusairis fall in the same category. Hussein Bhai, yes, that's correct. Yeah, they make an error, but the point is that Tawheed, which is taught by Ahl Bayt, we want to learn. That very special Tawheed. It's a special belief. Belongs to those who are true students of the Imams and who could understand. Abu Basir, when he says the 6 Imams, Sufis believe you could see God in the Day of Judgment. But Imam Sadiq replied, why do you want to wait till Day of Judgment? You could see God now, right? So that vision we want to achieve. Yes, we live in the world of multiplicity. We are surrounded by our wife and children and car and trees and sky. We see and we kind of, tend to, yes.
Sorry, Moran, to disturb you, but can you expand on the statement from Maula Ali that, so when someone asked him, have you seen God? And he replied that, how can I worship if I have not seen him? Yes. So can you maybe, in this context, shed a little, I know I don't want to distract you from the main discussion we're having.
Yes, of course. I mean, see, as they say that, chun bini surat khudra in dar aine un khud shuma hast wa shuma nist, in alam khuda hast wa khuda nist. As they say, when you see yourself in the mirror, that is you and not you, and the whole alam and creation is God but not God. So when Amir al-Mu'mineen is saying that I am seeing God, that means every created thing is nothing but either Tawheed Asma Ilahi, the names of God are there, or it is either Tawheed Af'al Ilahi. He's seeing the actions of God everywhere and nothing that. This is pointing out to Ma ra'aytu shay'an qablahu Allah, ma'ahu Allah, ba'dahu Allah. I saw nothing before a thing, after a thing, with a thing, Allah. That's what he's saying. So that means every drop of a leaf from the tree branch in the season of autumn is nothing but the action of God itself. So it is easy to say, but to really see that, Allah have 99 names, and these 99 names is in every created thing. There isn't a creation, whether that be a leaf, doesn't have the name of Rahman in it, because it is reflected by the Rahmaniyat, the Jamaliyat is reflected according to its capacity that it contains. The Rahmaniyat in Hussein is reflected that way, and the Rahmaniyat is in the leaf is reflected something else. So he, Amirul Mu'minin, he's saying that I am seeing God everywhere, because he has come to the essence of this knowledge of divine reflection, and he's seeing that, and he's feeling that presence. He's seeing that light. So I think I mentioned this hadith before as well, and Abu Imam says that why you can see God here, why do you want to wait till the day of judgment? And he says that, before you see anything, before you see a shay, before you see that thing, you see God first. You see God first, and then you see that thing. So first thing that I'm seeing right now, for example, whether that be a phone or tree or whatever, first actually I'm seeing God. And then after that, I'm seeing, oh, this is a tree, and this is that, and this is, a phone or whatever. The multiplicity is later. The first thing is I'm seeing God, right? A very sort of low level understanding. We could say that, okay, it is the
manifestation of Allah, inshallah, right?
Yes, that's what I mean. Manifestation, reflection. Because he is immaterial. He is immaterial, and this is manifested. In sort of in the reality that we have around us, right? So now the light, Allah Nur Samawat wal Ard, it is the light which is allowing me to see that. It is the nafakhtu fihi min ruhi. It is that ruh of Allah which comes from Him is allowing me to really see that. So when we talk about, now to page 19, so when we talk about divine attributes, we must be very careful, as we said, that lest we suffer from anthropomorphism. See, understanding Tawheed on these three levels, it's a huzuri thing. We are trying to comprehend by knowledge, a zahiri, by husul, by acquiring the knowledge, we are trying to comprehend this Tawheed, which has been mentioned by Ahl Bayt and by Quran. Once we try to comprehend it, it makes sense to a certain extent, the aspect of huzuri comes, the aspect of by our presence comes, that I see Allah. Do I worship a God that I don't see, for instance? Unfortunately, in religious traditions, even in Islam, we have had people who had some kind of misunderstanding of God. For example, there used to be a very small group known as Al-Mushabbih and also Al-Mujassamih. The former likened God to some of his creatures, Mushabbih from Tashbih, and the latter thought of God as having a physical body and liken him to a human being. This is because neither their mind nor their language is equipped with a philosophical understanding of God and his qualities, and hence they try to liken him to a human being. Having said this, there is still a great deal we can learn. Imam Ali alayhi salam has a beautiful statement in which he says, "Lam yutli al-uqul ala tahdid sifatih wa lam yahjubuha an wajib ma'rifatih." He hasn't really hidden, he hasn't done the hujb and hijab. Unity with respect to God's divine attributes mean that God's qualities are not different in their existence from himself or from each other. They only differ from each other in concept, but not in their reality. So it's the concepts that are different. For example, when we talk about God's knowledge, then God's power, and then God's life, and then God's will, and then God's love, are these different beings? There we have only one God, the essence of God. And then next to it, something called life, will, power, knowledge, etc., added to his essence, the way some early Muslims taught. The Ash'arites had the idea that there were 8 eternal beings. God's essence and 7 qualities of God. They concluded that since God's qualities cannot have been created, they must be eternal alongside Him and independent. This cannot be true, however, and amounts to polytheism in there being 8 eternal, uncreated, and independent existence. Not only that, but it implies that God in His essence does not have knowledge in His essence, or will, or power. So, it's very difficult to really come to terms with. It's not an easy concept. Like we said, it's outwardly, it's very easy, but internally, it's very, very unique and special. We really have to ask Allah to really open our heart to understand to its maximum capacity. So it's different concepts, but it's one reality. Concept of love, concept of knowledge, but it ends up to be one reality. And as a matter of fact, in the lives of the Aimma alayhimus salam, when we see them going unconscious while reciting the Quran or while saying the Talbiyah, the exegists are of the opinion that they have seen the Asma Ilahi. That's why their body hibernates, because they are witnessing the name of God, not the action of God. Next paragraph. We have only one God, a being who is eternally existent and not created. His qualities are not different to God Himself, but are only different in our understanding and conceptualization of them. They have one reality from which we extract different concepts. This being must necessarily have knowledge and power in order to create. See, when something coming from the far, this discussion is in philosophy. Those who are mahiyat, quiddity is real, or some say the wujud is real. Something coming from the far, we would see that thing to be a car. Then we would see that thing to be an animal. Then we would see that. Once it reaches very close to us, we will say that, oh, it is this actually. But I thought this different. We deposit things. We extract, according to our mental capacity, what that thing is. But there is a reality to it, and that is the existence. The existence is not changing, but our understanding is changing because things are becoming clearer and clearer to us. We are depositing different concepts, or we are extracting different concepts from this wujud, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have only one God, a being who is eternally existent and not created. His qualities are no different to God Himself, but are only different in our understanding and conceptualization of them. They have one reality from which we extract different concepts. This being must necessarily have knowledge and power in order to create. It must have will, or else it would necessitate someone else to have compelled him to create. If He has no love, He wouldn't be giving. In the end, we must know that it is only one being with different qualities. This is even more subtle to grasp than the unity of a person's various qualities or roles, where the same person can be a man, a Muslim, a doctor, a teacher, an uncle, a son, a father, a cousin, and a nephew, all at the same time and in the same person. This example can bring us closer to understanding God's attribute, but it is not quite enough. In our case, if we look carefully, we are not really one unit, independent of all else, because we gain these things. We gain power, we gain knowledge, and we become father, we become uncle. My knowledge, for example, is not the same as me. There's a difference in that as well. In my essence, I may not have this knowledge or that knowledge, for example. I acquire this knowledge and I may come and go. Similarly, my power is not the same as me. It is subjected to increase and decrease, and I may lose it all, even the power to speak. Our qualities, therefore, are not the same as us, and they come and go. If my qualities were to be stripped from me, I would still be me. But if even one of the God's quality was to be stripped from Him, He would not be God. In Arabic, there is a very beautiful poem that expresses the reality of God's quality. Our expressions vary, but your beauty is one. And all these various expressions refer to the same beauty of God. Some call it Khuda, some call it Rahman, some call it Rahim, but they all kind of return back to this one reality of God. So I think we'll stop here, inshallah, and we'll continue in unity of his Tawheed Af'ali. And usually, I'll just mention one point here in terms of the Huzuri understanding of Tawheed. It begins with fail. Tawheed Af'ali is the most easy to come to terms with, then the Asma, then the Zat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we will, inshallah, we have done the explanation of Tawheed, of all these three levels of Tawheed, but we haven't done the Tadbiq. We haven't really read the text of it. So inshallah, I think we will read and finish this lesson next week. And also, as I have promised, I have the bullet points or the summary of these lessons, which I will email it to Salman Bhai, and inshallah we'll catch up. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Maulana, we just have a quick clarification. As next Sunday is Arba'in.
Yes, next Sunday is Arba'in. It's entirely up to all of you. If you are here or in the majlis, we can do it the Sunday after, inshallah.
What is your schedule like next Sunday, Maulana?
I will be free, inshallah. The majlis is in the evening.
Okay, so we'll discuss and we'll let you know, Maulana.
Inshallah. Thank you very much. I'm really sorry for the delay.
No, not at all. Thank you, and